Hopefully it won't happen this time when I try and put the phone down. I'm not in the mood to hold it. There we go. So I'm sorry, I'm just getting used to my new phone, and the perspective on the camera is a bit more like I don't know, it's different to the iPhones. It's like special optics, like a fisheye or something, fisheye lens. But today has been in a way one of the hardest days of my life, without a question. And I'm still battling through. And I really need to be making this live stream because I'm in terror. 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 And for all intensive purposes, it's very scary because nothing different in the first instance is happening to any other day that's taken place for the last year and a half at least, if not 2.5 years. That's when the level of terror for me passed over from just being terror as a result of external circumstances and mental health, and became terror as a result of physical health on top of the prior. And what I'm being asked to experience today is any other day in the past 2.5 years that I've lived. And if I wasn't aware of, I'm in a state of terror at the moment, it's arguable how difficult today would have been. I don't know. It's so vague to hazard a guess. Would it have been harder or easier? It's possible today would have been an easier day. It's possible it would have been harder. I don't know if that makes sense. Basically, as an experience of a day, without the awareness that I'm in terror, I don't know how to perceive it. With my mental health, my state changes on a daily basis according to many different factors, and it's a case of constant management from a day-to-day basis. And then when each day that comes, I apply it to what took place yesterday, what took place over the larger period of however long of the recent past, and I can get I can ascertain how bad or good a day was. But everything's just stopped with terror. Terror is like there's nothing beyond it. I don't know what's beyond terror. I didn't think anything was beyond depression, but it's like time has stopped. My life has stopped. I'm functioning in a practical way based upon terror to my life. But considering the factors that have got me to this place, which are external as well, I'm unable to relate to society in the way I would have as a teenager or in my 20s or early 30s. There's been a total severance of any relationship with society, and as much as I'm functioning practically, I have to admit, in terms of the outside world and society, from a perspective, it could almost be looked at that I've gone mad. And I have no problem saying that, knowing that I have a mental health disorder, and that's something very serious to state. But I'm very aware of the way I've been treated by society, and I have no problem in saying that at all. Because unless you resolve those problems with society, and I'm talking about the NHS and mental health system and secret services that have come and said hello to me, I'm talking about the collective psychosis and the way people interact with me, including my family. I'm talking about reality in terms of teleporting across the street and a million and one other things that have happened before the terror that make me realize that reality is questionable in the immediate. But I can compartmentalize all of them due to my nature. I'm paranoid schizophrenic, and that's what it is, a shattered personality, compartmentalization of life. As I've said before, that just stems from my autistic traits in terms of spiritual development. What's a shattered personality to a choice of taking a road of clearing away your ego? What's a shattered personality when you don't have an ego? Is it possible to shatter? So I don't have any problems in saying this. It's just my life. But I'm well aware of how serious it is in terms of my life, in terms of how I've been brought up in this world. What the world has told me is real and makes sense. And I'm well aware of my experience on a day-to-day basis at the moment of existence. And within terror, there's an eternal stop. It's like there's no more time. There's no more tomorrow. There's no more, oh, next week I'm going to do this. Oh, I've got this appointment coming up. There's yesterday that was really bad. How bad is today, and how bad is tomorrow going to be when, all of the considerations I had before with my mental health, it stopped. It's a case of I'm in terror. I need to get out of the place of terror. I know I'm in terror. Nobody's ever going to tell me I'm not. And that's my only consideration. The extent of terror is that it supersedes physical pain. Tell me, if you're cut really bad, are you thinking about an appointment, how bad yesterday was, how bad tomorrow is? You can't take your mind off the pain. And terror supersedes pain to my experience. Time has stopped. Time has frozen within terror. And I can see aspects on a daily basis of what terror is like, to experience what it must be like for others. And the truth is, for me, being here with my specific case of terror, as I said, I've been in terror for many years on realization, now being in terror. And I was in terror before 2.5 years ago. And if I had been in that place of terror without the physical pain being a reality, there'd be elements of society that could heal that terror. And there'd be things of this world that could offer solace. Then you have the physical pain-induced terror, and it's the other way around. Because, well, it's the same thing. The world can offer solace again. So both routes, whether it's due to physical pain or whether it's due to mental health and external problems that have induced terror, the world can heal them. And it's possible the world can heal mine. But I've worked tirelessly for 14 years trying to heal my problems. And I know myself, I know my sincerity to life, and I know the energy I've given. And I know how I've been turned away, how people, all those elements I've mentioned before, from the health system, mental health system, secret services, my family, the collective psychosis, reality breaking, and trying to manage on a daily basis a normal life that's caused terror. I'm isolated, I don't have any friends. I don't have a problem with that, that's my life. I have a mental health condition. That comes first. But all of those things cause an individual element of terror, and the pain on top. And the pain is the worst, I'm sorry. If you want to start categorizing which terror is the worst, from my experience, the pain. But I'm well aware how the medication the mental health system gives out has pretty much set me down this path and pretty much caused a lot of my suffering in terms of the pain. And that's a constant threat. It's not only am I in pain, but I'm well aware if I'm ever to get help for my terror, for the pain, the first port of call is going to be, oh, yeah, but he's got a mental health disorder. Let's just give him some antipsychotics first of all. With those antipsychotics, the main focus is right now is my body and adding to the physical pain. Secondly, is trying to stay in focus and managing my life and the terror. And antipsychotics, all they do is suppress. That's not going to get rid of the terror. Thirdly, I'm health conscious. I don't like chemicals in my body unless I'm in control of it. And unfortunately, I don't agree with antipsychotics. And that's a constant threat on my life. So the pain's the worst. And then I've got this thing on the outside that's basically there saying to me constantly, oh, I'm going to make that pain worse. I'm going to make that pain worse. And that is reflected of all the help that's really available there in society that can help someone in terror. It's a bit fucked. I'm a rare case, I admit it, but I wouldn't like to have been anybody that's experienced real torture in terms of terror. From the only one I keep mentioning, and I don't want to piss off customers, secret services, but Guantanamo Bay, that's the one I know. And that's the good guys, but the bad guys have also been known for torture and terror. And then you get some sick idiots and psychopaths in society that lock people up and do all sorts of things to them. You know, really, people have suffered in this world. In rare cases, what the mental health system in Romania did to the people is an absolute atrocity to mankind. That is terror. And unfortunately, I can't fathom how it's possible to truly ever heal that until this world changes and we all come on board and we all acknowledge as 8 billion people what you went through was disgusting. And in that place, there's healing. But when you're here alone, and there's 8 billion other people, there's an awareness that can be applied to say, oh, they're not aware. But my life has still been my life. Those patients of the Romanian hospitals, their lives were still their lives. And they've got to live in this world that basically the people aren't aware of the suffering they went through. So in other words, we have great compassion and ability to raise ourselves to an awareness as a human being, to see suffering and love in reality in other people. And we all have that ability, and we all know that ability. Well, I say we all know. A great many of us know how far it goes, and the world limits us there. But it's what's shown that counts. And unfortunately, the people who have gone through terror, and I'm just using those patients of the Romanian hospitals, mental health hospitals, they will have that knowing of compassion and love and innocence and vulnerability inside them. And they would have seen glimpses of it through their life because they deserve it. But when the rest of the world is shut down and when it's not displayed on a daily basis and when they've got to go and interact in that same sick society and they can see so many things basically leading down a similar path, even if it's not as bad. And they've got to find that love for themselves to give themselves the ability to heal and live. When the world says it doesn't exist. I'm sorry, if you're asking someone to heal and they've been as a child through whatever they went through in Romania, and then apply this to all the other people that have been terrorized in their lives, and you want that person to heal, how is it possible when the world basically says on some level what you went through wasn't that bad. What you went through was acceptable on some level. No, it's not acceptable on any level. Unfortunately, the torture it can't be healed. Not in this world at present. We have the potential, but the world has to look a lot different. I'm waiting on a miracle. I was teleported across the street a month or two ago. It must be a sign for me. But fucking hell, I've got no choice. I'm not thinking about my life. I told you I'm an eternal presence. I don't. If you knew what I'd been through for the past few years, it's no different. I've just realised it in the past week or so. It means shit all to me. If anything, I can see the situation clearer. Not that it helps. But what does terror really say? As I said, if you've experienced terror in your life as a result of a rare circumstance, as long as the world is able to say what you went through was wrong, come child, come and feast on everything the world has to offer. We'll help you. It's that person that was wrong that did that thing to you. Come, there's many things to enjoy. When the terror is as a result of the world on some level, you need to find a group, to feel safe within. If it's this country that's done the terrorism, I can feel safe in that country. If it's this sex that's done the terrorism, I can feel safe in that sex. If it's this race that's done the terrorism, I can feel safe in another race. But you have to change. You have to really give everything to say, no, that terror was the devil. This is heaven. Good and bad, God and, But that's not where it's at, is it? Because open up the picture a little bit more and you see, we're all compassionate, enlightened human beings. We're all claiming this world is enlightenment. Sure, some people have problems with this element and that element. But all of those problems that cause those individual cases of terror still comes from the collective world. From the collective ignorance that's taken us to this place today. And if you can see that far, you can see that the world creates terror. The way we've come together as a collective, and we seem to really be sticking to the false notion that this world is enlightenment because we have technology and we've had 2 world wars and we haven't had one for 70 years. And all the things that we can do with money and oh, we've gone to the moon and we've sent robots to Mars and we're making quantum computers now. Oh, we've got computers in our hands. Oh, we're enlightened. Believe me, terror is not worth a computer in your hand. Terror is not worth any of the technology in the world. Terror is not worth coming together as 8 billion people when we could have stayed separate and had individual wars and left it at that. Terror isn't worth it. The truth is, of those people, if they can see the big picture and see the disgust, see the world, the way it's created, the mindset for every tragedy that's ever been caused. Basically, every human being is born innocent. There's nobody that desires to be bad, desires to offend, decides to become a murderer. What are you going to do? What do you want to be when you grow up, Gabriel? I want to be a gangster. I want to be a murderer. I want to be a thief. I want to be a crook. Why do you want to be one of those when you could be a sports star, a rock star, or just a rich businessman? You could be working 4 hours a week and earning millions of pounds. Why do you want to be a gangster for? Why do you want to be a crook, a thief? It's because where life finds us as a result of where we're born, as a result of the collective world. If someone experiences a time in their life when they murder, ask yourself, what education did they have? What upbringing did they have? Where did they grow up? What opportunities did they have? What circumstances did they have during their life that took them down the road? There won't be a lot of difference between an individual spirit incarnating in my life to that life, and there being much difference to your life. Unless we can all begin to see that I'm no different to you, you're no different to that murderer, and that murderer is no different to Jesus. Because we're all just circumstance, we're all just ignorance in coming together over thousands and thousands of years. Energy and motion, chance. What do you know that you've summoned from the universe that you weren't taught to be able to summon from the universe? To then communicate it to the world. In other words, pure wildness is individuality. If you can speak, you're corrupted. You're the same as everybody else. To speak is to be educated. Where did that education come from? So in other words, what is it that's new, an individual in your life, that if we switched lives from the beginning as a soul, what would the difference be? If in the final reality we are going to act within the society, We are going to speak within the society. We are essentially the society as well. We are essentially everything. We are educated. Where is the room for the soul to be individual? My cousin Jason, he's disabled. He can't speak. He's never says words, but it's questionable to what extent he understands them. He's physically impaired, but when you look at him, you can see pure emotion in his eyes. In other words, he hasn't been tainted by education. He understands football as a concept. He understands rugby as a concept, wrestling as a concept. When my uncle takes, because he's got a season ticket to Arsenal, he loves the football. But what does he do? He cheers when Arsenal score, and he cheers when the other teams score. Does he understand football? Or is it something else that he understands, that he enjoys? And we just don't understand him. There is this thing within his life of football, and his parents have realized that he enjoys it. And for that, they give him the ability to go and watch it. It's just this thing in his life. That's the individuality. If you were Jason, you might not have enjoyed football so much that my auntie and uncle could see in Jason, you, that enjoyment. And it might have been, if you incarnated as Jason, you might have ended up, my mind's gone blank. Being into cars without understanding cars. And for that reason, all the car programs on TV, all the car shows, my auntie and uncle would have taken Jason to, you to. But you start adding some language on it from a young age. You start adding some education on it that's a pretty much standard set education system until you get to the age of year 9, where you can take your choices and you get 2 choices. What do you like? And then, oh right, as a result of your past, where do you go into college or not? Do you go into work? How much of it's really you by then? From that pure emotion, that the rest of the world can see you, that you haven't been corrupted, that we haven't even touched on materialism and attachment and all the luxuries of the world and all the pains of the world that someone is influenced by. Because pain, like the terror that I'm speaking of, you can't really hear me, I know. But I'm speaking to you and it's going in. And what you can't acknowledge within me affects you. In other words, everything that we consume guides us. Now tell me, if you're born and your parents were from the KGB and they were Russian, and it was a time of Cold War when you were born, and you had a good education, do you think it would be very likely that any being alive could have become the same man that Putin is today if they'd have switched souls with him? I believe they would have been pretty much the same person. And I mentioned Putin, but Biden too. Mr. Boris Johnson. Any leader in the world. Any famous person in the world. Unfortunately, if you're born into a body with specific genes and you've had a specific upbringing, it's questionable how much enjoyment of a pure nature gets to come through with something like singing and art. I'm sure it's more so than anything else. Creativity has a chance to break that. But unfortunately, terror is worldwide. The world creates the terror. Terror is within us as human beings. The ignorance that we've come together as a species has terror within it. And the world is responsible. We're responsible as a collective 8 billion. But what we're going to do about it when it's all unconscious? And that's what I'm saying. When you can see that even if you're given a chance to heal the pains of your terror, that you're never going to turn away with the opposite of what caused your terror. If it was this race that caused your terror, take homage in that race. If it was this sex, take homage in that sex. If it was this country, take homage in that country, etc., etc. Because the pain terror causes upon the mind and body is near enough unthinkable to me that anybody would ever really be able to see the truth that the world causes that terror in the first place. Not truly. The scars, the mind might be able to come to a realization, but the scars go deep. They would have to be very motivated to heal themselves. To stand a chance. But ultimately, when you realize the world creates our terror, and you have to live the rest of your life within this world that doesn't seem to want to change. And the terror is real. And the terror, unfortunately, within whatever love can be shared within this world, it will never equal the terror, because the love will be a lie to the truth that is the terror. In this world, unfortunately, we cannot love without being in pain at the same time. Love is a lie in this world. If we're talking about love in the ultimate, love in the truth is unconditional. How can you truly love a soul when people are in terror in this world? And we're not proactively trying to seek to stop that. Whatever anybody can do to those children of that Romanian hospital, I can almost guarantee that love will never equal that terror, not when they have to live within the same world. And unfortunately, in that place, the truth is, from my perspective, disgust. I hold that disgust towards the collective psychosis. But ultimately, that disgust is towards existence. And if there is a God, towards God. How can people fucking idolize this consciousness and worship it and pray to it and ask it to forgive my sins and please help me? And where's the proof that he exists? I look at this world and I see that it's a fucking good cover-up by the devil. We're in hell, unfortunately. That is if you want to be honest with yourself, that is the reality. If you are comfortable lying to yourself on some level within your own mind and body and consciousness, then it's a lie. But for me, it's to be honest with myself and as whole as I can be as a human being. And in that place, we've all incarnated to University Hell, Planet Earth 2020. Terror is disgust. A truthful disgust towards existence and life. Unfortunately, in my perspective, the big culprit here in the outside world is euthanasia being illegalized. It's really hard to say this. I know this is a really sensitive, taboo subject, especially what I'm saying. But it's like the devil saying, no, you're not getting out. I want you to intoxicate yourself. I want you to forget yourself. I want you to do whatever you need to do to stay in this hell. I fixed my iPod. I dropped it in the urinal yesterday and it stopped working. I ripped it apart, broke a bit of it. But I've just fixed it. That's why you can hear the angels in the background. Unfortunately, what we're in is a place of hell with a carrot being dangled in front of us that's within reach to change the world and just end hell. Collectively, humanity has a karma upon it. And that karma doesn't have to be on us anymore. All we have to do is wake up to that reality. God knows what we did, but we've been placed in hell. And you look around at the world now, forget all the conspiracy theories that are probably true in my mind. The world in the first instance gives us freedom to be good or bad, greedy or not, proactive or inactive, make a change or don't. All we have to do is apply that want to end hell and make the change. And what that looks like is reaching out and grabbing the carrot that's within reach. The karma is our mind being so fucking beaten by our lives that we're told that we cannot end the suffering. We have to suffer it. We're so dead as human beings that our spirit has left us, that we can't summon the energy to try to reach this carrot that would save our lives. Because we've had carrots dangled in front of us before and they've all been out of reach and we've given up. We can't even see the carrot anymore. Be disgusted in a proactive way. I'm disgusted at you. I see my innocence. And I'm not going to turn that disgust on me, as much as I have immense disgust for me, because I've worked through my disgust to myself my whole life through my spiritual development and personal development. And unfortunately, I was blessed with a good upbringing, with limitations. And I've just been that way, where I've worked through my own disgust. I'm currently on a course to become a shame man. Not a shaman, a shame man. That's how I've been my whole life. That's disgust held to myself. If you can listen to me and hear and believe that we're all in terror, then listen to me and hear there's nothing to be ashamed for. You are innocent. Every other being, dead and alive, is innocent. Good or bad, is innocent. Even if there's a conspiracy theory with some reptilian overlords that have done this to us, they are innocent. You haven't done a thing wrong in your life. Hold disgust to everything. And when it comes to you, be honest with yourself. Say, I know I've got disgust towards me. I haven't done the work to see, but there's no need to be disgusted at myself first. First, I'm going to hold it to the world. And then once the world's cleaned up, I'm more than willing to hold that disgust to me. But I trust in Gabriel and what he says, that I'm innocent. Otherwise, you're in terror and you're up shit creek like me. Shit's Creek. Up to you. I told you I've got disgust towards you. I can't do a thing for my own life. Forget me changing the world. I'm barely holding it together on any level at the moment, but I'm doing so somehow. When you're holding your disgust Do it in the most practical way possible. Look at the world like a lion. And don't just look at the world like a lion. When you look at the world like a lion, at the same time, go at the world like a lion. With speed. Be Facebook. Go fast and break stuff in a positive way, proactive way. Make a little list. How do I want? That's all you have to ask. There's disgust at everything in this living fucking hell. Just say to yourself, I can't clean it all up. I don't know what's the most fucking practical. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just disgusted with fucking everything. I'm going to do what I fucking want. This thing over here, that disgusts me. I don't know why it disgusts me. Maybe it's because it's easier to deal with than that big thing over there. I'm going to go and deal with that disgust first and go at it like a lion. And while you're dealing with that hunger within you to end this living fucking hell will set you on a course to clear up the world. What the angels need is lions that clean. You truly do not know how much I'm disgusted. How hard it's been to make this live stream. What it's taken for reality to break, for me to make this live stream, and to hear these emotions being pumped through me when I am dead and emotionless. Believe me when I say I'm disgusted.